There we go. All right.
Take two.
Woo, take two, man. Oh, sorry.
It'll be better the second time around.
Exactly. Let's hope it's not third time's the charm. Whew. So you're right, Nancy, though. I remember before I completely cut out that we were going to do introductions. So let's go around the room, if you will. And I want to write down your name and your business. And that will be really helpful for me moving forward in terms of if I want to add something. There's a number of you. I've looked at your website, so you can't hide. But let's go around the room.
Great, Angie, you're on the top left of my screen. You want to start?
Sure. I'm Angie Follansby Hall, and I am a teacher and an artist. I teach yoga, I teach art workshops, and I own Jai Studios with my husband, who is a musician. So we have art, yoga, and music studios in our home in Brownsville, Vermont.
What's the name of your business, Angie?
It's Jai Studios, J-A-I Studios.
Great, thank you.
Reb. I'm just going to go across my Brady Bunch squares.
So I'm Reb McKenzie. I live in Claremont, New Hampshire. I'm a member of the Energy Advisory Committee, and I want to market the Energy Committee's commitment to renewable energy and energy resilience.
Wow. Reb, tell me about the photo behind you real quickly.
So I'm a presenter of the Pachamama Alliance's Awakening the Dreamer, Changing the Dream Symposium. And this is one of the slides of that program. And so I just love it. It's multicultural children, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Super. Richard?
Yeah, I'm Rich Ackerboom from Silver Advantage. We work in sports video space, helping coaches and other participants to work with video in various ways, such as we're resellers for Coach Paint, which allows you to tell us straight on the video, like you'd see maybe in a analysis of an English Premiership soccer match or the Super Bowl, and also instant replay systems and other stuff along those lines.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name of your business. What's the name?
Sylvan Advantage.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Hey, Ben, welcome.
Hello, I'm Ben Dabrowski from Green Hill Farm in Sutton, New Hampshire. We're a certified organic and also real organic project verified farm, growing fruits, vegetables, flowers, mushrooms, and a few other, and we make our own value-added products, raise pigs and chickens. And yeah, we're at the southern end of your Vitals Communities area network, I guess.
Oh, it's perfect. Are you're Allie, but you and Allie or Green Hill?
Yes, yeah. We did the Lebanon Farmers Market for a few years.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Lisa?
Thank you.
Are you? Everyone else doesn't have pictures on, so.
I'll turn it on briefly, but it'll kill my internet.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm juggling my 5-year-old and making breakfast and listening.
Oh, that's okay.
I own Within Reach Yoga in Wethersfield, Vermont, and I also do graphic design. So I'm just here to kind of brush up and hear what you guys are talking about while I'm doing all these other things.
And I'm sorry, what was your first name?
Lisa.
Lisa. Hi,
Thank
Lisa.
you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Sorry, thanks for the juggling. Tiffany, before you lose your internet, you want to?
Well, it's just when I have video going and trying to do the audio at the same time that I end up with problems. But my name is Tiffany Vincent, and I had a corporation for a little while, kind of killed it with COVID. It was a school supply company that I handled all their web development and web facing business. And now I run a few Etsy shops. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm doing some work for a CRO right now, which is kind of the the main thing, just kind of doing their patient support materials and graphics and stuff like that. So that's me.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tiffany. Oh, my squares are changing around. Sally?
Sally.
Oh, there you almost had it. There we go. Thanks.
Sorry, thanks.
No problem.
I'm Sally Shoup, and I have a couple reasons for wanting to listen into this. I'm an officer in a small professional organization, so I was hoping to get some tips on how we can help our website for them. And then also I'm looking to retire soon and do probably a sole proprietorship or maybe an S Corp. I'm not sure yet. So no businesses yet, but I'm looking towards starting one.
Do you have, Sally, do you currently have a website? I'm sorry, I'm just readjusting since I had to move my location, but I'm listening and seeing you all. Sally, what's your website?
I don't have a personal website. Our professional organization has a website though.
Okay. And is that the one you're looking for tips on? The professional
No.
or your own?
Well, both.
Okay, great.
Mostly my own since I'm starting from zero. But, all tips are good.
All right, good.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good.
Althea, welcome.
Nice to see you and nice to meet everyone. My name is Althea Villafor-Kress. Currently, I am in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I also have a residence in New York City. I specialize in curatorial projects having to do with the environment going back to the mid-1980s. I coach artists and institutions around the subject of art business. I taught at Tsinghua University in Beijing and Sotheby's Institute of Art in New York City and London and Los Angeles pre-pandemic. So I'm currently coaching artists what I was teaching in these master's classrooms. I'm rebranding myself outside of being both a gallery owner and entrepreneur, since I no longer have a brick and mortar space. And I only have an Instagram account, Althea_Villafor-Kress. And I'm trying to determine how much should be a personal branding, how much should be archival, and how much should be about the present and the future. So I'm a huge fan of Brand Studio. I've seen them in action, and they are a powerful and smart team. So I'm thrilled to be here. So
That's great.
Nancy.
Good morning, Althea.
Thank you, Althea. Tom, I'm sorry you were out in Zoom land forever. Welcome. We're just going around doing quick introductions about name, and I think Nancy's specifically interested in like the name of your business and maybe website. Is that what you're
And
trying
what
to
kind
do?
of business?
Yeah,
Right.
great. Oh, you muted, Tom. Oh, Tom, you're muted. Let me try to help you there. Let's see.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there we go.
Good, I get a chance to clean it up now. My name is Tom Frisbee. I'm a resident of Windsor, Vermont. I'm a member of the Windsor Improvement Corporation Marketing Committee. And I just decided to do this on my own to see what ideas might be out there to help us market ourselves.
Wow. As a region, Tom, is that what to market Windsor as a region?
As a town.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Great, great, great.
Wonderful. Sandra May, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm one of the directors at Concord, New Hampshire's Makerspace, and we are hoping to build our membership as people start being willing to go out and do more.
You are one of the examples I want to use today. Not you personally, but Concord Makers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might have been Claremont Makerspace, actually.
Oh, was it? All right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, the idea of Makerspace, sorry. That's
Well, I
embarrassing.
will
problem.
steal all of their ideas.
Yeah.
Yes,
See, I
Brendan's
left
doing-
the room because I'm so embarrassed.
No, it's
No,
not.
that's, I'm teasing.
Yes, super. Let's see. Tiffany, Lisa, Ben, we did Jamie Roy. Welcome, if you're here.
Can you see me or hear me?
Oh yeah, there you are, Jamie. Hi.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I work at Ponders Hollow Custom Wood Flooring and Millwork. I'm in the office, so if I'm muffled because my mask is on. We work with Drive Brand. They're great. I'm just here to absorb as much as possible and learn as much as possible.
Ponders came to us through an effort very much like this, just for all, is that we were working with the Massachusetts Department of Forestry, and we did the very same concept that we're doing now, which is this workshop. And then we did these 10-hour consults, and the owners of Ponders and Lashway Lumber, they're brothers, and their dad owns it. And we've been working with them ever since, and now we're working with Jamie. But their business has exploded. They took some of the tools from the 10-hour consult and just ran with it. It's an awesome company. Jamie, I'm so delighted to see you today.
You too, thank you.
Great. Brendan, morning.
Morning. This is Brendan from the Claremont Makerspace. We're a makerspace in Claremont, not Concord.
Keep going.
What do we do a lot of things there, and one of my roles is I'm director of education, so I build out all the education programs and put the calendar together and work with members and help build our membership up, but also do all the marketing. So I'm always interested in learning new marketing skills.
Great. Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks.
KMW69, are you with us? Sorry, I don't know your name. Otherwise, I can't even guess. Let's see from my list. Kelsey, I'm gonna guess it's Kelsey. Ear to listen. Okay, great. Thanks, Kelsey. Kelsey's just gonna listen. Jessica's iPad. Are you with us, Jessica?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks.
Hi, I'm Jessie Clifford, and I don't have a business yet. I'm just here to listen and here to take notes.
Great. Do you have something that you're considering? You don't have to share with it, but are you considering your own business?
Yeah, I'm thinking about starting a freelance graphic design and motion design business.
Okay, great.
Nice.
Thank you.
Jim Eklund, welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Sorry that you were out in the netherworld for so long.
I guess it's okay. It's what needed to happen. And I'm guessing we're telling a little bit about why we're here and what it's all about. I'm here, I would say directly due to Jen Risley sending me a link to the original meeting and kind of being on at the same time. So I was confident enough to keep trying and get connected with you all. I have a business that I started here in Keene, right in the Keene residential area. So I've been living here since 2007, and I launched my small business, which is it's custom closets, cabinetry, garage flooring. And I'm just trying to maximize my impact with local marketing. And there's a lot of marketing companies that reach out to small businesses like mine that have been online, and they tell me my marketing is horrible and they can help just for, lots of money.
What's your website? No, oh my gosh. In fact, most of what we're focusing on is the free stuff. What's your website, Jim?
My website is, it's 4 words with nothing in between. It's New England Closet Garage.com.
I've been there. It's a really gorgeous website, honestly.
Yeah, my son Joseph started this business out in Southern California a year before I did, and he said, you ought to try this because you got the skill set and you can do it.
Yeah.
And so and he's kind of, anyway, he's moved on in life, but so we've been in operation and on the web since 2018. And anyway, I have business. A few people know about me. I know just connecting with people just like this gets me a little more exposure as well. The company name does have an "and" in there. It's New England Closet and Garage LLC.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
And Jen, are you able to speak?
Yeah, sure. I just didn't want you to see my mess in the background. I'm Jen Risley. I'm the marketing manager at Monadnock Food Co-op, plus wearing a bunch of other hats, and just really excited to be here. I'm always looking to learn new tips and tricks.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great.
Morning, Colleen. Hi. Thanks for finding your way here. We're just doing quick introductions about like either why you're here or your business name, something that, so Nancy has just something to go on to see if she can tailor the presentation.
Sure, yeah, no, my name is Colleen Stewart, and I work for the New Hampshire Food Alliance. I do communications. And like Jen, I'm just here to learn the tips and tricks. I feel like we can always be working on that stuff, so.
For sure. Thank you. Let's see, is there anybody that I missed? I think that's it. All right. Woohoo.
All right. All right. Fantastic.
All right. Thank you, guys. And really thank you for your patience. And you too, Nancy. So you now take it away.
Yeah, I had the same technical issues. So I think I'm going to briefly intro again what we're doing today. This list has been great. Great. What I'm seeing is that we're selling, what we're talking about today is we've got food, we've got art, we've got clutter, which is what Jim exists to do, is reduce our clutter. We've got health, we've got improving our spaces. This is so awesome because this is right where we are from how we've changed our shifts in behavior. So we're going to focus on back to basics, simplifying your marketing, starting with free and building up, because I am of the belief, even before the pandemic, that we shouldn't be spending a lot of money on marketing unless it makes sense for you. But most of us as small business owners, we do not have globs of money to commit to marketing. So we just need to do it smarter. But what these last 12 months have shown us from a consumer perspective is that's what the consumer is looking for as well. They're really looking for the genuineness, the authenticity for their brands and the businesses that they support. So, and now hearing the type of businesses you all represent, we are right where you need to be. So I'm frozen again.
No, you're not. You're not. You just have the wrong screen. Like I can see your presentation behind. Yeah,
but the presentation's not moving. That's never ever happened.
It's Georgia.
I'm wondering if it is, man. Nothing against Georgia, but geez Louise. I'm just going to move my computer. I don't think it's internet because the internet's really strong where I am. I wonder if it has something to do with, sorry guys. I mean, I might just have to go from memory here. Shut this down.
You can also maybe send me your presentation and I can run it.
Let me see if it has something to do. Give mouse. Yeah. Can you take over? If you take over, so hit your space button now. I just gave you the remote control access.
Oh, all right.
Or not space, your arrow. Yeah, I gave you the power, Nancy.
You gave me the power.
Yeah, just hit your forward arrow.
No, you did not.
That's weird. I'm really sorry.
It says I'm controlling your screen.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to do it right from here. Let me get my notes. I'm coming right back. Right back. Let's see if this works. All right, business owners, we have to move on the fly. There we go. We're in business. Okay, so we're talking about trends. We're going to talk about, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating for the people who were here in the room earlier. For those that were stuck out in no man's land, we'll talk about trends because as I was talking about over there in my corner, trends are the foundation for marketing, and particularly now, the changes in our behavior over the last 12 months. So when I talk about we've got food in the room, we've got health, we've got energy, we've got clutter. These are all things as Americans we're hyper focused on due to the last 12 months. Where I want to briefly talk about your target audience, how you define that, your goals, and then we'll talk about back to basics marketing. So first, let's talk about the shifts in consumer behavior. And these are shifts within the last 12 months. We have changed everything about who we are, how we buy, what's important to us. We have changed how we prioritize, and we've reprioritized almost everything in our life. When I talk about we, this is the, it's Americans, these are generalizations, but I think you'll see that it applies to almost all of us as sitting in this room today. Our family has become very, very important to us. Our wellness, our self-care, our mental health, this was not easy for anyone this last 12 months. It hit us without any warning. And then we all struggled to figure out what was happening. So we started to look inward, and we started to look at how we take better care of ourselves. We prioritized our time with our family, because in a lot of cases, when this hit and our travel got shut down, we couldn't see members of our family. So our family is important, but our own self-care, mental health, and wellness is very important. So as I go through this, when we think about the businesses that you own and how this is what you're in the business of. It's not about selling a product or a service. You're selling a promise in a lot of ways that you can provide this. We have a way deeper connection to nature than we've ever had because we couldn't travel for a very, very long time. So we looked at nature as building our healthy minds and bodies. It gave us a sense of simplicity, and there was something about being outside. And I'm not talking about hiking the Appalachian Trail. Sometimes it was just walking in your neighborhood, right? We all went outside for this fresh air because this whole pandemic was driven by how it was spread. And so many of us went outside, and it was just walking around the neighborhood that gave us this simplicity, the breathe. We're feeling healthier. How we work changed dramatically. Many of us went to home offices, and I have to be careful not to focus on Jim so much, but what the business that Jim is in has nothing to do with selling a shelf. His business gave us the ability to change how we worked, because all of a sudden we had to look at our garage or the spare bedroom or our dining room, and we had to declutter fast because we went remote. So who did we turn to? So I'm using him as an example that he isn't. And if you missed Jim's introduction, and I don't know Jim, we just met today, but he sells, it's New England Closets and Garage. And when you go to his website, it's all about how you take that mess in a garage or that mess in a bedroom and simplify it. Well, that's his promise. It has nothing to do with the shelf, because here's a trend. We changed everything about how we work, and we still do. How we play changed dramatically. Also, we prioritized playing, getting outside. Outdoor activities went crazy, absolutely crazy. So for Richard, who's selling the idea of sports videos, I know it's for teams, not individuals, but I mean, outdoor activities went crazy.
We're not selling video, we're selling software.
Okay,
Software
that
hardware.
works.
Yep.
That works. You're still that okay. So now, Richard, not to pick on you, but you're not just selling that, right? You're selling, if you're selling software to sports teams, do I get that right? Right? So you're not selling the software, you're selling the promise of capturing that gameplay. And for a parent, if a parent's going to buy that from a club,
Well, no,
you're
no,
selling
it's
memories.
more an analysis tools.
Even
That's for
okay.
So there's more than
Perfect.
just, obviously it's more than just the thing, but we're not selling the video either, so.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm still gonna run with that though, Richard. You just wait. Okay, we're spending way more time on leisure activities, way more. We're looking for new hobbies. And this is, even though we're getting back to work and life is open and we're 12 months in and now vaccines are, we're hoping to have everyone vaccinated by summer. These hobbies that we started back during the pandemic, they're still with us today because we're living life much different. We spend a lot more money and we're continuing to spend a lot more money on experiences, particularly trying things new. We took more risks, not necessarily rock climbing, but we took risks in terms of trying something new because all of a sudden we had this eye-opening experience on, oh my gosh, life truly can change in an instance. So what have we always wanted to do? What have we always wanted to do? Maybe it's just learn to sail, or, you know, we just spent more money on those new experiences. And we were in our backyard. We couldn't travel. And so we really spent a lot more time just exploring our backyard, not our literal backyard, but we spent more time, as I mentioned earlier, in our neighborhoods and walking around. This, you know, it's interesting, for everything I've said about outdoors and connection with nature and walking and breathing fresh air, this surprised me, but yet it didn't surprise me, because the flip side to going outside and walking outside, and you know, in New England and New Hampshire, it's cold and snowy and icy, particularly this time of year. Our TV watching went way up, and our streaming services are, it's actually streaming services, and that had a lot to do with movie theaters being shut down. So now we're able to buy these programs. We can't yet go, well, some movie theaters have opened, but many have not. So now we're streaming them inside. Here, my family's on vacation, so last night we bought the new Disney movie, and it was $30, $29.99, the Raya movie. And we rationalized it as we had 6 people, and if we were going to a movie theater, it would have been way more expensive. And we made popcorn, and so we prioritized family, and we streamed that video. But that's what, so this, it surprised me, but it didn't. How we eat changed so much. We've prioritized health, and I'll get into that, but 85% of us, because of the last 12 months, changed our eating habits. So for Ben and anyone else, Colleen and Jen, who are in the food business, you're not selling food, you're selling health. You're selling and I'll get into that more, but it's not just about food. Our meat, egg, dairy went way up when the pandemic hit, and then it sustained up there. And it wasn't just meat, egg, dairy, it's organic. We had such a demand for this health, free range organic, and we really want to know where our food came from. 50% of all consumers, 63% of those over 50, are really concerned about the health of their food, or about their healthiness of their food and where it comes from. We want to know this. So if you're in the food business, this is so important to consumers right now. We're less tolerant of the unknown, and we really want to know. We want, it's part of our health, or our drive to become healthier based on what we've been through. This is a huge, I mean, if you're in the restaurant business, this is a really devastating statistic, is, that 70% of us decreased our dining. And that, now that we're coming into the summer months, we are looking at more outdoor dining, but this was really, really tragic 12 months for our restaurants. We've seen many go out of business, and this is back. This is not only do we not want to be crowded in restaurants, but knowing where our food came from, we cocooned the last 12 months. So I didn't mention in the beginning, but I own Drive Brand Studio, but my husband and I also have we have 3 ice cream shops and 1 ice cream trailer in North Conway, and one of them is year round, and we have little tables. All of that went away for us. We had to close for 3 months. We managed then to stay open, but we're still struggling from those winter months. And we're working on how do we reinvent ourselves in that one space. Summer sells itself. They're walk-up windows, outdoors, socially spaced, but this was tragic. Back to this is why we're doing many more meals at home. When this first started, a lot of us came in, this was part of the new hobby, right? 74% of us started cooking as a coping mechanism. If you remember, all of a sudden flour was nowhere. You could not get flour. So and I have this like, what? All of a sudden everyone's going to bake bread? I baked bread before the pandemic. I think the flour should come to those of us who did it, but not, that's just not. Anyway, there was crazy. Same with pasta makers. There was pasta makers went up 5 times the sales of those, because all of a sudden, we're cooking at home, we're learning new hobbies. How we shop has changed dramatically, and this is really good for everyone on this call today, because we are buying local. This is so huge for Americans now. This is a colossal shift. So when we get to the section about developing your story, this is what I would love for you to think about. So there's so many trends in shifts in consumer behavior that you can apply to your business, but this, as a local business owner, this became dramatic. I'm sorry, my 14-year-old just woke up and he's waving his hand, and I didn't know if he had a question. He was just saying hi. Because buying local gives us the impression of quality and purpose. We know the business owner. This is why your story, and when we talk about your website, your materials, and so many of us are humble, particularly farmers. I love talking to farmers because they're so humble. And I'm always trying to pull out of them to say, tell me about you. I want to know you. When we know you, we get this sense of quality and purpose because we know you and we trust you then. Buying local allowed us to support our neighbors. This phrase is so overused, but we did all come together these 12 months. We were facing something together. So by buying local, knowing you, having this impression of quality and purpose, by buying local, we also support our neighbors. And I want to talk about communication with your clients, your guests, your customers as well, because to bring you out and to be human is so important now. As Americans, we are clamoring for that. We had an experience here last night, the last 2 nights, where we've been trying to do takeout from a local restaurant that was highly recommended, and they've had the phone off the hook. And then I was standing at the bar to place a takeout order, and the kitchen yelled that there's no more takeout. So I messaged them a really nice note. And the owner of this restaurant has 3 other restaurants, so it's clear he's not on site here. And he's the one who messaged me back. And so now all of a sudden, and he apologized for inconvenience, and he wrote me a message and said, just show them this to them and they'll do your takeout for you. And by then we had bought pasta at a convenience store. But now I feel like I have a connection with this man, Chuck, who owns this restaurant. And now I want to support him, because he made that little tiny effort. That's how important. I don't even know what Chuck looks like, although I would, if I knew his last name, I'd go on Facebook and I'd creep him and all that, but that's a different story. But now to see how small that was, that he reached out, gave me his name, apologized for the inconvenience, and now I feel like I need to support him, because the poor guy doesn't know what a disaster his restaurant is here. But anyway, we did start shopping online, and that's because initially we couldn't shop in the stores, in our physical stores. So if you do, and many of the trends I'm talking about, they were caused by the pandemic, but the trends that we're talking about today are the ones that are continuing. Some of them flittered away, but these are the ones that are still intact, and I think they still will. So if you do have a bricks and mortar shop, you may want to consider shop online. A real positive that's come out of the pandemic, which, you know, I don't like to use positive and pandemic in the same word, but there are many things that we can use. Shopping online's become much easier for a business to implement. There are so many plug and play tools that hit the market that allow a small business to add that function to their website. They're inexpensive, they're typically subscription based, and but they're easy for you to do yourself. And we'll talk about that when we get to websites. Many do-it-yourself options, so you don't need to hire an agency. I mean, you know, and this is, I'm not trying to put my marketing agency out of business, but there's no reason to spend money on an agency to do some of these tools, just none. If you have the time and the inclination, they are plug and play, they're easy. If you don't, hire, and we have a freelancer who we have a couple of freelance graphic artists who might be willing to do this for you, or an agency like myself. But anyway, you do want to consider that. If you have bricks and mortar, or there's some kind of something you're selling. Okay, so before we get to your story, let me ask if there's any questions on some of the things or comments that we've reported on. Wow, we're already 9:54. So just a couple of questions, if anyone's got any. No? Okay. Good. Right, Nancy, you're not seeing any?
No.
Okay, great. All right, let's get into your story. This is where I really want you to work hard. This is where you're pulling out, why should I as a consumer support you? Well, I want to know you. You're not nameless, you're not faceless. I want to know you, and I want to challenge you this morning to really think about what you're really selling. It is never, ever, ever about your product or service, ever. Have I emphasized that enough this morning? Never. We even added the animation. Never, ever, ever. Because you are selling something that meets this trends. When you're going through this exercise in your mind, and I recommend to people that you sit down either first thing in the morning with a cup of coffee and a piece of paper and a pen, and you write down your whys. Why should somebody do business with you? Or do it at night, sunset, glass of wine, whatever works for you. But just take that quiet time and write it on a piece of paper. Why me? Why my business? What am I really selling? It's never about the what, ever. So when you do that, what's the need you're filling? And I've alluded to this, maybe not alluded. I've been pretty dramatic. Like, again, Jim just makes it so easy. But what problem was he solving over this pandemic? I mean, we have all heard that people decluttered in a crazy way. Not only did they need office space, right? And they needed remote learning space, but then they're like looking around them and they're saying, why do I need all this stuff? So it has nothing to do with the shelf. The problem was decluttering. What need are you filling? Every one of you has a need that you're filling. For the art, oh my gosh, art is not about the painting on the wall or the sculpture on the table. It's about the beauty and how it makes you feel. It has nothing to do with the product. So what need were you filling as an artist? Or if you're selling art, you're filling that need for, oh, that's beautiful. I can sit back and I'm at peace. Does that make sense? I know, see, when I'm in a room of people, I can watch you all nod, but I can only see 4 of you at a time. So I'm going to trust you that you're all nodding. Okay, and yoga, oh my gosh, yoga gives you that sense of, "Oh, okay, life's gonna be okay. I can move forward." These are the needs you're filling. It has nothing to do with the product or service. So this is really where I want to challenge you, because when you define this, then your photos and your words need to say this. Never talk about the construction of your product, because we buy, as Americans, and this has never changed over time, we buy emotionally, always. Every single decision is first based on emotion. And then we go, ooh, that's a little expensive. Then I'm going to rationalize it. Even with, you know, the quality of construction, or, oh, well, we just rationalize it. Oh, that house isn't too expensive, or that car is safety rated, right? But we first buy emotion. There isn't a person on the planet who doesn't buy emotion first. So what need are you filling that satisfies that emotion? Yeah, we talked about emotion at length. When you look at your products, look at things that are, as now, the 12 months. These are the things that were really important to us as consumers. So does your product or service meet some of these? It's emotional first. Is there something in your product or service that makes it simple for people? People are really wanting simple now. It's been a tough 12 months. We want this sense of balance. Is there something that you do that creates a sense of balance? Do you sell memories? Oh, there was a time when things were good and they were just, you know, they were simple then. So is there something that brings us back to that time when we could dance around teddy bears and sing like no one was listening? That's what that does. And not every, now don't get me wrong, you can't be all things to all people. There's one of these things in your product or service, and one is all you need. Do you sell that sense of happiness? Now I look at art that way. The type of art that I buy, that we have, makes me happy. Not everyone buys art for that. I mean, everyone buys it. Art's in the eye of the beholder, but for me, it needs to make me happy, particularly these last 12 months, but I've always been that way. Whatever it is I'm doing, confidence. You know, I look at these two, here's what I want to talk about, these two makers groups, the Concord and the Claremont makers groups. One of the things that compelled me so much about those is in the words, they're a little buried, which I'd love to talk to you about, but it was about having the confidence to make something, to try something new, to have the courage. It wasn't about the thing, right? It was, here, come here, and we'll give you the confidence that you can try something new. That's a courage. We all need courage in these last 12 months. And so there's that promise, I think, for those makers groups. Oh, and then farming, forget it. I mean, farming, this is hot. To be a farmer right now, and I know I'm downplaying how hard your job is. I get it, Ben. I totally do. It's not an easy field, industry, profession, but man, you are just selling health right now, period. Everyone wants to be healthy. It's not about that beautiful ripe tomato, although that's the key to my health. This is the way we're rationalizing, right? We're emotional about our health, but if I buy that tomato, it's nice and red and juicy and it's organic, so yep, I'm gonna buy a whole crate of them. You're selling health. That's it. And you know, so let me ask, I know I've gone through this really quickly, but does anyone have, like, right on the top of their head, can you tell me emotionally what you're selling? Anyone? You're a quiet group today. If you were in person, I would be picking on you.
I would say selling
Thank you.
self-expression, self-realization, and being able to articulate to the people that we love And then that extends out towards the community. And you can do that by what your intake actions are, such as buying a beautiful tomato, which is representational of one's inner health, or it could be external in terms of supporting a local artist and buying one of their paintings or sculptures.
Thank you. That's good. Anyone else?
I've been feeling like I'm selling a sense of purpose, like to me, and so that kind of ties into both the yoga and the art that I do. And so I've been trying to like rethink from that perspective.
That's great. I love that. Love that. So now when I'm hearing these things, I'm going to expect to see them on your website and your materials. I mean, that's what you should lead with. Shout that from the rooftops, but we'll get there. See, like, I love this, right? This is, whoops, that's just an example. Is that it's about the plants, but now I want to buy from this store because that's going to make me happy. Remember I said earlier, it's all about happiness for me. I have these, so I would buy a plant from there just because there's the promise. So here's the most important when you start to do your materials is, what is your promise? What is that need you're filling? What's the emotional promise? That store, it's going to make me happy. That one little plant I go in and buy is going to make me even happier than I am right now. So think about your promise. Remember, it's never about the product, the service. It's about what you're truly selling. This is you personally. So if you look at this as a website, right? You have the promise right there loud, banging me in the face. That plant's going to make me happy. But then I want to know who's through that door. When I walk in, who am I going to meet? And this is where so many people are so humble, and I do pick on farmers because we've worked with farmers a lot. Last 3 years we've worked with, and we have a number of farmer clients, and we just love them because they sell health and they're just wonderful, down-to-earth, genuine people, but I cannot get them to talk about themselves. So Ben, when I go to your website, I'm going to expect something loud and out there about who you are and why you're so special and unique. You really have to tell your unique story. All of you have a unique story, and most of it's born out of the passion of why you got into this business. Who are you? But more importantly, what's your passion? Why did you get into this? Like Jessica, who's starting up her own business and doing something new. I want to know why that's passionate for you. Why do you do what you do every single day? This is really important on the website, is to pull that out. I mean, if I go to your website and it says, because I wanted to make money, I'm probably not gonna, I'll probably click off that. Although, I mean, all of us know that, as altruistic as we are, I mean, I'm in business so that I can support 4 really hungry boys. But at the end of the day, and what I try to teach them every day is, I wake up and I go to work because I love what I do. I love what I do. I look at a client like Ponders, and Jamie's on now. I mean, she and Jerry, who owns this flooring company, they are the type of people, and we're going to talk about this when we get to who your target audience is. But when they call, I hang up and I go, I love my job. I love my job. So why do you do what you do every single day? It's hard work. Most of you work, I'm sure all of you work really hard. This has to come out in the About You section of the website. I want to see a picture of you, your family, if you want, with your family. And I want to really see in the words and the photos why you do what you do every day. Some of you have a really rich history. Tell us that too. We want to know that. We want to support you. The name of your business, most of the names of businesses have something really unique. And I love that. Pull that out. Don't be humble. Why did you name your business what you did? That's a fascinating story. We really, really want to know as consumers. We want to know. Oh, have I said this before? Don't be humble. I mean, don't be arrogant and cocky either, but be proud of who you are and the hard work you put in every single day. And that promise, if you're selling health, beauty, reducing clutter, a simple life, talk about it. I want to know as a consumer why you do what you do, and be real, be honest, don't be arrogant, don't be cocky. So who are your target audience? This is where I want to go back to. Hang on, I'm sorry. My family is just coming in from a bike ride. I had to move in here because of internet. So, okay. Sorry. So take a look when you determine your target audience. Start first with your current customers. Make a list of your top 5 customers. And the big differential, it's not your most valuable customers. It's not. And if you don't have customers yet, start to think about who you want those customers to be. And those top 5 customers are the ones that make you feel like this. I'm not kidding you. These are what you want more of, because even if they're not the biggest spenders, life, if nothing else, these last 12 months have shown us, life is so precious. It can be so fragile. For me as a business owner, these are the clients I want. I'll deal with the money, or I'll have 10 of these rather than one big nasty client. When I had the misfortune of going through the first recession, and at that time that was devastating. It was, what I call the dark ages. And so we had to take on every single client we could get. And I said it was like we were designing men's rooms and ladies' room signs. And some of these clients would call and we'd all cringe and we'd say, oh my gosh, who did something wrong? And we were turning on each other. It was that. And I said, when we got through that recession, which took us 7 years to build back, I said, I'm never going back there again, ever doing that again. And then the pandemic hits and I'm thinking, okay, no, I learned that lesson. I'm not doing it. So this is our promise, right? Internally and externally, we just do good work for good people. It doesn't matter how much money they have. It has to be good work for good people, because this is how I want to feel. And I want every one of my team members to feel this way. And that's, I mentioned Ponders and Jamie and Jerry, that every time they call, this is the way they make us feel. We have the only clients we have are good people now. And I know that's a luxury. Not all businesses have that luxury, but think hard about that. We don't need a nasty client who's critical all the time. Then I want to talk about goals next. Any comments, questions about who your target audience should be? So take that list of 5, list of 2. It's the people who make me feel like, oh my gosh, I want to invite them to dinner or name my firstborn after them. Any comments, questions? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I number one, just backtracking a little bit about what you said, what we're selling, and that you kind of summarized it quite a bit for my company. It really is here and present and a clear need, and it goes pretty deep into people's psyche when they're able to declutter, organize, and let go of things that are just putting pressure on them, because people want to get out of that pressure. They want to have peace of mind and health, and it all ties in. And what you said resonates as well with those customers that we've had over the years that make us feel good. And it really is about the relationship that we have with them. And if I meet them somewhere else in town, there's always that, if I don't remember them personally, they remember us, they remember me, because I really am my business. I have some guys who help me do it, but the installs, but I'm the guy who goes out, meets the client, builds a relationship, develops the plan, and makes it all happen, and closes everything up. But I wonder how, there's a technique or there's skills for developing marketing, targeted marketing for, yeah, I've done somewhat of what you've talked about doing, just trying to get all the jobs, all the clients. And most of the time, I mean, I've been very fortunate. Most of the time that turns out just fine. You know, if it's a client I don't really like being around a lot, the project usually is over, and I move on, and I focus on and continue to build the relationship with the ones that have had that deep connection. But in terms of marketing, you know, whether it's through the web or other means, how do you get into that deeper story? You can do some of it on the web, but your people now do so much shopping on the web that they make almost instantaneous decisions based on the first flash on your website. Or is it more effective to personally go on the radio and tell your story in the briefest of moments, but make that deeper connection through an audio link with people? And I don't know where to spend my marketing dollars.
Well, let's get into that. Let's talk. Let me get into that's great. Let me get into some of the marketing aspects from here. Let's talk about that. Success. So thank you very much.
Nancy,
yeah,
so
sorry.
Tiffany,
Oh,
I think Tiffany has her hand raised.
Great.
I do. It's such a great little Zoom thing. What do you do if you're all over the place? So, you know, a lot of these, I hate to say Jim is lucky because he has one business, but I have none of the things I do are like, they really aren't related. Like I've got an Etsy store that sells quail egg cartons and giant pumpkin growing mats. And then I also have the CRO work that I'm doing where, you know, I'm writing patient marketing materials. And then on the other side, I'm teaching tons of classes at the Claremont Makerspace that aren't related to any of the things that I do. So it's kind of, I'm all over the place, but it's, I've been searching to just kind of, I don't want to say I have a 1-line 30-second pitch for myself, but that is where I'm kind of falling down because there's just too much stuff.
Well,
not
yeah, right. And I think that's okay. It comes down to, there are two ways to do it. I think each of your businesses or each of the things you're doing need their own promise, right? Those should be separate, but it's about you and who are you, and that you can pull together. But so for my husband and I, we own 3 businesses in town, and they're totally different. But so for us, it's about us and being a good community member. And people know that if it's one of our businesses that we're attached to, it's attached to us, particularly him. He's just really genuine and sincere. So to your point and to Jim's point, we call the grocery store test, right? If you run into a neighbor in the grocery store or a customer in the grocery store, it's about having a good ethical relationship and a good, just being a good community citizen, giving back of time. So it does need to be about you. You happen to be, you have these 3 things that you're working on, but it is about you and what makes you so special. What makes you so special? That's what I mean. What makes you so unique and so amazing? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So when you talk about goals, you know, I've thrown this in there because every marketing plan that we create starts with, it doesn't start with, but it has goals. They need to be tangible, measurable, achievable. And sometimes it's just, I want 2 more customers. Like I want them to be like the ones that make me click my heels, right? That's okay. Don't feel like you have to increase your business by 45% and $1 million. Sometimes it's just as simple as, you know what, I'm going to be happy if in the next 6 months or 12 months, I get 2 more people like that. Don't kill yourselves with your marketing. Okay. This is about common sense. So let's talk about what's next with your marketing. Back to basics. Let's start right at the beginning. Okay. remember what you're selling. What are you selling? Are you selling simplicity, memories, courage? Are you selling sunshine, fresh air, health? Who are you selling to? Who is the customer that's going to make you click your heels? So I'm summarizing. So then do this through the words that you use. What's your promise? Who are you in words? Always keep it simple. This is starting right at the beginning. And photos, photos, photos. The beauty of our iPhones and portrait mode, I love portrait mode, is we don't have to hire an expensive photographer. We can take stuff that's website worthy. I mean, we're talking about all digital here. If you're doing a printed catalog, you should invest in a really good photographer with good lighting. Or if you have an Etsy store, that's worth doing a studio photography with good lighting. Or you can use your iPhone with portrait mode, but lighting. But the rest of us, you can take the most spectacular photos with your iPhone. So this is easy stuff. You can write the words, simple 1, 2, 3 words that define your promise, and then just take photos that communicate that. What is it about you? What can you do in photos and words and keep it really simple? Don't kill yourself here. Use common sense with your marketing. Okay, it's authenticity. And then once you do that, when you sit down at night in the morning and you start to write this stuff down and you apply it to your materials, like website, you know what, website's a huge tool, but there's a couple others we'll talk about. Got to be consistent. What you say on your website versus your Google listing versus your Facebook page and your profile needs to all be the same. Don't change it, because now you know who you are. You know who you're selling to, the type of client, but what's your promise? Consistency, consistency, consistency. It's common sense. That marketing is not rocket science at all. At all. You don't need a degree. It's just common sense. How do you sell emotionally? That's all. Do not. So let's look at some free and low cost items. If you have a storefront, if you have some place that somebody walks into, your makers, the farm, the food co-op, first impressions are marketing. Marketing does not start with the materials. It is a first impression. If your sign needs painting, buy a gallon or 2 of paint and paint your sign, right? This is the one I was saying to Nancy earlier. One of the reasons I like to do consults in person is I start here. We start with a sense of arrival, because that's marketing. If you don't pay enough attention to what's on the outside, how am I going to trust you that I'm getting that quality and purpose as a small business owner? You know, make it beautiful if you have to, or just plant a bush or paint the sign. Your team, if you have a staff, oh my gosh, this is what was happening at this restaurant. And I'm only going back. The team was not good. There were tables that were messy everywhere, but we heard the food was good. But then when the owner got back to me, I want to give them a chance. This is who your team should be. 100% of the time, smiling, happy, engaged people if you have staff. Okay, that's that. First off, sense of arrival. Take a look at your paint, and did you mow the lawn? Right, hard work, make it happen. Free stuff, lots of free stuff. Look at your Google business listing. If you haven't done that before, one of the things I love about Google is the tools are free. Go to Google for Business. This listing, which since we've used this photo, we have blown this out a lot, because this, when you Google a business, you know, for us, marketing agency in North Conway, the first thing that comes up is a Google listing. It's free. You can add photos. You can add all sorts of copy. You've got reviews. If you go to the next one is, I'll get to reviews, but use this, make this work harder for you. Just go to Google for Business, look at your Google listing. If you don't own it, see where it says suggest and edit, own this business. Go claim it and build it out, because that's like having a website. The next thing, if you're in a business that has reviews, free free word of mouth. So Jim, I think it was you who was asking me, how do I get customers, right? Or how do I keep building that? Word of mouth is critical, particularly now in these last 12 months. As consumers, we are using what's called organic content more than ever, because we don't, a lot of times consumers don't trust businesses and may not trust what's on your website, or certainly what you put in an ad, but they will trust what other people are saying about you. When so that's one, is to look at your reviews. If you haven't looked at them, certainly go on, but then respond to every single review that you get on your business. That is the conversation, and it pulls you to the top. So what you've done is you care enough that somebody gave you a good review, or even, and I'll talk about a bad review in a minute. But see, if you notice here, this is our little ice cream shop. That, you know, we've got this great review, and all what I did was write, thank you so much for this wonderful review. I used her first name, and we can't wait to have you come back. So you know, that's common sense. If somebody gives you a compliment, thank them. Doesn't matter where it is. So reviews are a critical tool for building business. And as travelers, or actually as a consumer, I know in this family, we always go to review sites, always. That's how we buy. And then I go to the website. I start here and then I click out to the website. All right, so, and those are all free. Those two things are totally free, but that Google listing, blow it out. Do it. What do you need? You can do photos, hours, make sure your hours are updated. There's this thing that people say, well, nobody remembers to update their hours. Remember to update your hours on your Google listing. Okay, so with your website, if you have a website, keep it current. Always go back and look at those photos, those words that we've talked about, because remember, this is open all the time. It's always there. The lights are never out. So it's important that it's updated. Now, if you don't have a website, there are a lot of do-it-yourself tools now that were driven out of the pandemic, and there's a lot of great platforms. And here's the thing about, you don't have to be a coder. Don't worry about taking a risk, right? Go on. If you don't have a website, go to Square or Wix. We use Wix a lot in our company for our small businesses because it's a really affordable option. We have big websites that we custom design, but then we use Wix a lot because we found it was easy for both our team, but also our clients to use. But there's tons out there. I'd probably recommend Wix right now, or Squarespace, and just start, play with it, you know, make it happen. It's, if it doesn't come out right, you can always fix it. That's the beauty of the web, is that you can always fix it. You're not stuck with 150,000 things in print. If you make a typo, you fix it. If you put up a photo you're not crazy about, you fix it. So this is that common sense. Don't just go for it. Jump in, both feet, take a risk. If you don't have a website, take some time to do one. Early in the morning, late at night, when you have some quiet time. If you have an e-store, like, well, Etsy's a great option. You know, you can either sell on your own website, and same thing, there's a lot of really easy plug and play online options. And one of the ways to find one, rather than me recommend one, is there a small business that you're aware of, or in your town or in your neighborhood, who's selling online? Go to their shopping cart and see what stores in the URL. And if you like how it looks, that is probably the one you want to use. So just do some research into online stores that work for you. Social's really important, Facebook and Instagram, but you don't have to be all things to all people. Just because it's the latest, greatest, doesn't mean you have to go on it. Go back to your target audience. Are they on? What's their age, right? Facebook tends to skew older and skew women. Instagram, interestingly enough, is getting a little older. So typically we recommend both. But if you only have time, just choose one based on the age of your audience. And then, you know, something like TikTok comes on the scene. Just because it's hot and new doesn't mean you have to use it. And that skews way younger. So it's not the right thing for a lot of businesses. But like for those of you who are in art and anything that's beautiful in terms of photos, like farming and vegetables, you really should have an Instagram account, because Instagram was started as more of a photography platform. It's grown a lot. And here's why. I mean, we have 4.2 billion users and they spend 2.5 hours a day on social media. So if you can only choose one, pick one, and then just do it. You know, we post, you don't have to post every day. You can post once a week. You can say every Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to post. There are trends and things where better days are better than other days. But if you're just getting started using it, just pick a day that works for you. Digital campaigns. I'm going to run through this really quickly. This is get your social media going, cranking, right? Working. Then the next step might just be to do what's called a Facebook boosted post. And what I do, and I've got the next screen, you can just go to how do I use, oh my gosh, I've been in this business for 30 some odd years, and I still go to Google every day and how do I do this, right? All the time. I'm not beyond asking for help. I don't think I know it all. I learn every day. Google search campaign and programmatic campaigns typically require an agency. They don't have to, but programmatic means buying ads on some of these streaming services. You don't have to do that now. I'm all over back to basics, start small, get those things in place, and then start to build. So with Facebook boosted post, yesterday I wanted to show you a screenshot. So I said, how do I do a boosted Facebook post? Here it is. You don't have to read this, but that's how simple it is. There's just this 5-step process to boosting your post. So if you've got something you're really happy with and you want to get more eyeballs on it, you may want to commit a little money and try this. It's a good way to dabble in that, into a paid digital campaign. Communication is critical, particularly right now. And specifically, we have seen a huge jump in email campaigns, huge. And the reason being is because people were stuck, they were working remote. So this was the only source of information they had. So all of a sudden, what was starting to die out prior to the pandemic, now emails, selling things and promises are like catapulting, and the open rate is catapulting because people are still working remotely. There's, we're about, I guess we're probably 50-50 now back at work and still remote. So this is a really important tool. Again, there's lots of do-it-yourself that are so easy. Constant Contact, MailChimp are two good ones. The important thing you should do here, if you have a website, is capture email addresses. Or if you have a storefront or at your farm, have people write down their email address. And there's all sorts of stuff you can tell them in an email. Should be photo heavy, light copy, but what's new in your business? What's interesting? What might be, is there some kind of trend that would be interesting to me as a new consumer? If something is high cost and complicated, like I can't remember who it was, maybe it was Jim, said, that these people come in and try to sell me stuff, and don't buy right now. If something is high cost, complicated, if you do want to go on radio, if that's your target audience, radio is highly negotiable right now. Don't take the first thing they offer you. Say, I don't think I just don't have the money for that. Highly negotiable, as is print. If print ads are something that have worked for you, go ahead and try it. But, not to take advantage of print and radio, but it is highly negotiable right now. But other than that, you truly don't need something. If it's high cost and complicated, walk away. This is all back to basics. Just keep it simple. Look at these trends right now, what's happening in these last 12 months, and start to apply them. Tell your story. This should be you, this rooster, not being humble. And just keep it really simple. So that's it. You own this. Keep it simple. Just rock and roll. How are you going to market your business? Just from the basics and build up. You're all great small business owners. Now I see a real
Quick
hand.
question.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm done.
just want to
So we
see.
have, oh, we're over. Sorry, Nancy.
Sorry,
we
this won't
started
take
late.
long, like my other statements. Can you, you seem to be referring to something that we were maybe sharing your screen and I didn't ever see any of that. But if you have just notes from what you talked about, I wasn't scribbling down notes at all. I'm just listening because that helps me focus a little better. So if you have any notes that you're willing to share, that would really help me just remember the key points that you made that are really applicable and very many. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, sure. What I can do is create this as a PDF just so you have the key points, because that's really, in terms of keeping it simple, just keep it simple. Let's just look at those key, like where we are with food, where we are with all of those. So I'll create a PDF and I'll send it to you.
Thank you so much.
And
Well,
then
I'll share with the whole
sorry.
class if that's okay.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I'll give it to you, Nancy.
Thank you both. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I know we're over, but we did start late. So I just
we
want to say, like, gives a little bit of time for people that have questions. That would be great. And then I can also talk a little bit about like the next step or there's an opportunity that follows this. But I thought maybe if anybody had any questions, that would be great. Because we all learn from each other. So if you have a question, chances are someone else could learn from it too. So don't be shy.
I have a question or just a
thought.
Well, something we talk about a lot. I feel like we talked about this at the statewide gathering a little bit, but when we're talking to, in my case, eaters, consumers, I think a lot of people get hung up on the cost of local food compared to their run-of-the-mill grocery store, vegetables and things. Do you have any advice about that and kind of mitigating those thoughts from people?
Absolutely. That, Jen, right? You're down here on my
Colleen.
screen. Colleen, sorry. Colleen, yes, that has been an ongoing thing about the cost of local food. But what we're finding now is people don't care as much as they did 12 months ago. So what's so important with you is to bring out your farmers, right? Who they are, the quality of that food, the health aspects of that food, the pureness, if you will. Those are all the key words that are so important to overcoming that. And then there's the environmental pieces, right? The reduction of carbon footprint, that we're supporting our neighbors, right? This is the guy down the street. Let me tell you about Ben. And I don't know if Ben's, but he's the farmer on, right? Let me tell you about Ben. And I would like, you're in the co-op, where you're in the New Hampshire Food Alliance, right? And same with the co-op, is if you had little signs that said about the farmer, or if on your website, you start to talk about, pull them out, because then we're saying, not only am I eating healthier, I am just eating this like fresh air and sunshine, but I'm also supporting Ben or Joe or Sally, right? Pull those aspects out and we will pay more money. We'll pay more money now than we did 12 months ago. It's not as important to us. We're also, remember, we're saving a lot of money because we're not doing any of the things we used to do. We're not buying clutter and we're not traveling. So as consumers, we've saved some money. We're also not paying back student loans. I mean, all of this stuff. And then if you can lock them into that, it's going to keep going. This is a trend that's not going to change.
Right. And I'll just say we've done, Vital Communities over the years have done a lot of research and studies on what motivates shoppers for this exact reason, Colleen, is messaging. And obviously price point is always one of the sticking points, but what matters to people more is their community and supporting their local economy. That, like, freshness was number one always, but supporting local economy was like number two. And that is huge, especially now with how, worried people are and how many things have been devastated as far as the pandemic. So I do think highlighting the community aspect of it right now, and the local economy and the working lands, because people want to be outside more, and just the ability to be outside in more open space has been, is more attractive than it ever has been. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely highlight, I think those are really keys also, that kind of they'll transcend, well, it's kind of worth the extra few dollars because of all of these other, like, even besides the health benefit, like right now, community is like at the heart of everybody. Is like, if this is going to help their community kind of rebound or reboot, then I am all in, right? I can spend an extra buck or whatever. Right. So,
right.
Thank you. I just like hearing people's perspective on that question because it's always the hook in the situation.
Yeah,
Right.
but it is also like, I think it's right. It's the story. Like, I would spend an extra X number of dollars if I knew the farmer because they're just an awesome person.
Right.
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 There's
Supporting your neighbor.
It is always that.
Your point about Google reviews as well, Nancy,
Mhm.
when I was living in the Hudson Valley, I frequented an ice cream shop there, and he responded to every review, good, bad, and was like vibrant and put his personality on there, and it helped him like so much. So that's
great.
I push for Google reviews.
Thanks. That's good. Yeah. So, do we have any other questions? Nancy, are you muted?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Nancy. So this workshop is part of a project funded by Rural Development to help small businesses improve their marketing skills and capacity. And as part of it, there's this great workshop with Nancy, but then there is also some funding to provide ongoing or further on consulting with Drive Brand Studios. So a certain number of businesses and farms will get to spend, and I said this at the beginning, but a bunch of you were lost in the ether. It's a cost share opportunity. So there's the opportunity to have 10 hours of working with Nancy for the cost of 2. So the businesses would pay for 2 hours of Nancy's time, and Rural Development would pay for 8 hours of Nancy's time. And that is to increase your you know, it's very targeted. It's kind of meets you where you are. So depending on like if you're interested in starting up an e-newsletter, like you just said, email is kind of the way to go, or it is one-on-one. So Nancy, maybe you can say like you wanted to, what your kind of vision of like how you would implement that. Like you said you would, yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly as you talked about. If you're all comfortable, I would rather do it in person. And then, I mean, but if not, we could do it via Zoom. But we do start with driving in, sense of arrival, if you have that kind of business. And then we sit down, and Nancy, I love how you describe that. Like, we meet you where you are. So what do you need? What are you currently doing? Where do you want to grow? We'll talk about your target audiences specifically. And then we'll start to talk about what's next for you. What is that what would be the most we can help you? And it's usually 1, 2 things. It might just be advice, or do you need us to help you get an email campaign started? So it's really totally customized to you, your business, where you are today, or when we meet.
And and so we have Rural Development has, I think, I believe it's 6 businesses. We'll fund for 6 businesses, and then some number of farms. And so if there is more than 6 businesses interested, I mean, I'll send out this in an email, but we'll just have a Google form that has some questions, because it's really helpful for the business to be engaged in it and have certain level of commitment to using these services as in a great way, engaging with Nancy. So we'll just have a couple of questions, just so that it is impactful as possible. So I'll send that out in an email, and if you have any questions, you can obviously feel free to either call or email, and I can give you more details. But I just wanted to let you know that is something that's going to be coming at you in an email. But I do want to thank you all for your patience today.
Oh, yes.
So much.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, yes. And the pandemic is maybe almost over, so
I know.
we can meet in person maybe next time.
Right.
But it was great to have everyone join. Thank you so much, and look for an email. Thank you, Nancy. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was a great way to spend the morning. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.